he was fired for reporting a hostile work environment to the league. He said he made multiple efforts to contact owner Mark Davis about it and never heard back, so he was left with no choice but to contact the league. A spokesman for the NFL stated that the league was made aware of the alleged conduct recently, and Davis has claimed that Ventrell was always seen as the interim president, which makes sense if you look. Ventrell's only been the president since last year, and they were constantly reevaluating him and just decided to go in another direction. This headline's kind of related to the Raiders because it involves one of their former coaches. The league has found no proof of Hugh Jackson's claim that he was enticed to lose games while serving as the head coach of the Cleveland Browns. Jackson went 3-36-1 in just over 2 years with Cleveland, and after the Brian Flores lawsuit came out alleging that Dolphins owner Stephen Ross tried to pay him to lose games, Jackson made claims that he was paid bonuses as incentives to lose games as well during his time in Cleveland. However, an independent investigation that lasted 60 days has found no proof that Jackson's claims were true. The Miami Dolphins have signed running back Sony Michel. Michel was a first-round pick in 2018 and hasn't quite lived up to that value in New England or in Los Angeles with the Rams. He's had some good games. He just hasn't become the star that you expect with a first-round running back. In Miami, he does add even more depth to a really strong running back group there. It's very deep. I even saw an article that said it really hurts their fantasy value there, which is true. They have probably 5 or 6 running backs that could all see carries during the year, and that's important under new head coach Mike McDaniel and his 49ers style running game and offense. The NFL schedule doesn't get released until Thursday night, that's May 12th, but we do know a few things. The previously announced 3-game slate for Christmas Day, we don't know 2 of them, but it has been announced that the Los Angeles Rams and Denver Broncos will be one of those featured games. The international games have been announced. On October 2nd, Minnesota will travel to London to face New Orleans. New Orleans will be considered the home team. On October 9th, the following week, Green Bay will be the home team in London against the Giants. October 30th, Jacksonville home game in London against Denver. November 13th, Tampa Bay will be the home team against Seattle in Munich. And on November 21st, Arizona will be the home team against San Francisco, and that game will be from Mexico City. Lastly, on the scheduling note, there will be a doubleheader during Week 2 of Monday Night Football, but it's not a true doubleheader. The games will be happening simultaneously in part. The Bills and Titans will kick off from Buffalo at 7 o'clock Eastern on ESPN, while the Vikings and Philly will kick off at 8:30 on ABC. Into the NBA right now, they've reached the second round of the playoffs, or if you prefer, it's the conference semifinals. In the East, you have 1 seed Miami facing 4 seed Philadelphia, tied 2 games apiece heading into Game 5, which is tonight in Miami. And you also have the 2 seed Boston facing Milwaukee, tied 2-2 heading into Game 5 in Boston on Wednesday. In the West, 1 seed Phoenix is in a tough battle with 4 seed Dallas, tied 2-2 going into tonight's Game 5, and Golden State leading a tough Memphis team 3-1 after a last-minute win last night. Miami-Philly series, 3 of the 4 games have been decided by double digits. Miami's been getting consistently good performances from Jimmy Butler and Tyler Hero, the NBA Sixth Man of the Year, off the bench. Bam Adebayo and Victor Oladipo have been the guys helping them out, and those seem to be the X factors, the depth pieces to really push Miami over the top in these games so far. Case in point, a bad performance from Bam Adebayo in, I believe it was Game 3, led to a loss for Miami. And yes, he has a lot to deal with Embiid on the inside, that's true. Tyrese Maxey for Philadelphia has continued to break out and shine in the playoffs, and James Harden's scoring ability has suddenly returned, and he's been awakened. Philly may be the 4 seed, but they only finished 2 games behind Miami in the standings, so I can easily see this one going 7 games. Boston and Milwaukee, again, 2 tightly contested teams. It's not really a surprise that they're tied 2-2. They tied with the same record during the regular season. Very similar makeup. They rely on their stars, with Milwaukee as Giannis. Boston has Tatum. but they also spread the ball around enough to have at least 5 guys average over 11 points per game. Drew Holiday's been the complimentary star for Giannis in this series. Tatum's been carrying a big load for Boston, but he's also gets guys like Jaylen Brown and Al Horford and Marcus Smart involved. Milwaukee's been at its best when it's playing great defense and limiting Boston scorers to well under their averages, which led to a road win for Milwaukee at one point in this series. And each team has won a game at home and one game on the road. So there really doesn't seem to be a distinct home court advantage, and I can definitely see this game going 7 games as well. Phoenix and Dallas, I didn't think this would be a 2-2 series at this point. Thought Dallas would probably pick up one of those wins at home. Phoenix is the much deeper team, but you got to credit Jason Kidd and the Mavs for sticking to their game and playing tough. Their defense has made a difference in some of these games against Phoenix and had them on the ropes a couple times, and could be looking at a 3-1 Mavs lead if it hadn't been for a 40-point fourth quarter by the Suns to come from behind and win Game 2. Luka Doncic has been fantastic for the Mavs as usual, but the other scorers on the team, Maxi Kleber, Spencer Dinwiddie, Jalen Brunson, Dorian Finney-Smith, Reggie Bullock, they just seem to disappear in those road games. Now, Kleber showed up in Game 1, but it hasn't been the same since then. Brunson seems to play a lot better at home, so does Dinwiddie. And on the other side, Phoenix isn't a great team, so Dallas is going to be able to get points, but Phoenix does have more scoring power and does have a little more balance there, and they've had 4 double-digit scorers every night during this series. Dallas can't say that. Dallas is in a good position right now, better position than I thought they'd be. I still expect Phoenix to come through on that one. The Golden State-Memphis series, listen, Memphis is one of the top young teams in the NBA. All those guys are super young, just learning the ropes, and so getting the 2 seed and having a Coach of the Year candidate in Taylor Jenkins is nothing to be negative about. Having said that, the playoffs seem to have brought out a different side of them, maybe a little bit too big of a stage for them right now. Their young stars are having rookie-like moments at key points in time, whereas Golden State is hitting its stride and playing like the team full of savvy vets who have been there and done that they are. Without Ja Morant in Game 4, Jaren Jackson Jr., Tyus Jones, and Kyle Anderson stepped up on offense, but the Warriors made key defensive plays to stop the Grizzlies and win the game late. Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, Andrew Wiggins, Draymond Green all seem to be back to their own ways, and they're even getting contributions like young guy Jordan Poole, like Tyrese Maxey's doing for Philadelphia. Jordan Poole's breaking out as a future star for this team. Jonathan Kuminga, the rookie, has had a couple really good games. They've been really good complementary guys. You got to stop Curry from shooting. You got to stop Thompson from shooting. You got to stop Poole from shooting. Wiggins even a little bit. Green sometimes. They have guys that can hurt you from out there, and that's going to be hard to keep up with. Memphis, well-balanced team, not quite out of this yet until they get that 4th playoff loss, but the way the Warriors are playing and the depth that Golden State's roster has right now, it's just hard to see the Grizzlies making a comeback. I would say the Warriors win that in 6 games. Some NBA award winners have been announced. Like I said, Miami's Tyler Hero has been named the 6th Man of the Year. He's in his 3rd year. He first broke out in the playoffs during the COVID bubble as a rookie. This year, he shot a career-high 40% from three-point range and averaged 20.7 points per game off the bench for a very, very deep Miami Heat team. The Phoenix Suns head coach, Monty Williams, has been named NBA Coach of the Year. This is his 2nd stint as an NBA head coach. He was previously the head coach of the New Orleans Pelicans, and this year he led Phoenix to a league-best 64-18 record, and this is coming a year after they lost in the NBA Finals to the Milwaukee Bucks. Denver's Nikola Jokic has been named the MVP for the 2nd straight season. While Denver wasn't as great a team this year, they were a 3 seed last year, they're a 6 seed this year, and losing Jamal Murray and not having a ton of 3-point shooting around a big guy like that is going to do that to a team. Jokic was by far the leader on the team, the best player. 26-year-old improved in nearly every statistical category. He was up in points at 27.1 points per game. His field goal percentage was a ridiculous 62%. Very skilled and underrated as a passer as well. He added about 8 assists per game in that, and as a rebounder, he collected 13 rebounds per game. The Sacramento Kings have zeroed in on hiring Warriors assistant Mike Brown as their new head coach. Brown is most memorable for his stints in Cleveland with the LeBron-led Cavs and a brief stay with the Lakers. In 2009, he was named the Coach of the Year, and he has 347 career wins. And coincidentally, last night, he was acting as the head coach for the Warriors because head coach Steve Kerr had tested positive for COVID. The NHL playoffs are also happening right now. They started on Monday, and just about every series is tied 2-2, except Colorado, who swept Nashville last night in 4 games, and Pittsburgh leads the Rangers 3-1 and can eliminate them in Game 5 on Wednesday. Should help the Rangers that they are playing that game on home ice at Madison Square Garden. But admittedly, I didn't watch a lot of the regular season hockey this year. So what I can say on this is it's really appealing to see a league have so many close first-round series and so much perceived parity around there. Elsewhere in the NHL, there are coaching firings that have happened. Philadelphia has let go of interim head coach Mike Yeo. Yeo is best known for remarkably turning around the St. Louis Blues a couple of years ago and winning the Stanley Cup in 2017. He was fired the following season and joined Philly as an assistant and was named the interim head coach back in December, but he couldn't repeat the same magic that he had in St. Louis, and Philadelphia did not make the playoffs. The Islanders have also fired head coach Barry Trotz after 4 years. Trotz led the Isles to 2 Eastern Conference Finals appearances. This was the first year that they missed the playoffs under his watch. The club just stated that it felt there was a new voice that was needed. Trotz has coached 3 NHL teams, won 914 games, and won a Stanley Cup with the Washington Capitals, and will instantly be a top candidate for job openings across the league. The Nhl Award Finalists are being announced this week. So far, we've heard Norris Trophy finalists, Tampa Bay's Victor Hedman, Nashville's Roman Josi, and Colorado's Cale Makar are the finalists for that. The Vezina for the top goalie, Jakob Markstrom from the Calgary Flames, UC Saros from the Nashville Predators, and Igor Shesterkin from the New York Rangers, and the rest will be announced throughout the rest of the week. Colorado Avalanche goalie Darcy Kemper missed last night's win over Nashville with an eye injury after being poked with a stick through his mask. He is not expected to miss extended time, and I would think he'd be ready for the next series. To the MLB, and then we'll finish off with some college stuff. The Mets have released veteran infielder Robinson Cano. Cano rose to fame as a second baseman with the Yankees and also spent time with Seattle and with the Mets. This was his 3rd season with the Mets, but he was hitting just 195 on this season and not producing. He's still a career .302 hitter with 335 career home runs, over 1,300 RBIs, and over 2,000 hits. So maybe some team brings him in to help as a veteran presence, or he is 37. It's possible he's over the hill, but we'll see what happens to him there. Cubs pitcher Marcus Stroman has been sent to the injured list without a injury designation after being scratched from a start against the Dodgers. Phillies pitchers Zach Wheeler and Zach Eflin have been placed on the COVID IL list. The MLB is also planning to add games in London to the schedule for the 2023, 2024, 2025, and 2026 seasons. Something the league was doing before. The Yankees and the Red Sox played in London in 2019, and before COVID hit in 2020, St. Louis and Chicago were scheduled to play there as well. They're reportedly the favored matchup for the 2023 season. There will also be a home run derby on July 9th, 2022 at London's Crystal Palace Park. We're going to get to some college sports stuff right now. We're going to start with the basketball and football transfer portals. Baylor has named Blake Shippen as its starting quarterback out of spring camp. He won the job over last year's starter Gary Bohannon. Shippen led the Bears to a Big 12 title against Oklahoma State, and Bohannon has since transferred to South Florida. Ex-Florida quarterback Emery Jones has announced he will transfer to Arizona State. Jones is a dual-threat quarterback who took over the starting role last year for the Gators after Kyle Trask graduated and went to the NFL. He threw for over 2,700 yards last year with 19 touchdowns, but also threw 13 interceptions. He has a similar playing style to Jaden Daniels, who transferred out of Arizona State to go to LSU, but I still see it as a downgrade. Both those guys are runners that play a position that needs to throw, but they don't throw that well. Alabama corner Elias Eli Ricks was arrested for speeding in possession of marijuana last week. is reportedly speeding with no insurance and was released on a bond. Wichita State has fired athletic director Darren Boatwright due to concerns with the school's ability to compete with the new NIL